Hi and welcome to Beginner's Guide to Tapping Part 2. In this video we will pick up where we left in the previous one, and we will do that by adding position shifts to the lines we play. And position shift is simply what it sounds like. We're changing positions on the neck, playing in different places. And those shifting can be done in basically three kind of ways. You're either shifting with your fretting hand, or you're shifting with your tapping hand, or you're shifting with both. At this moment, I think it's time to say a couple of words about what fingers to use for your tapping. Sound-wise, it doesn't matter, it will sound the same. Index finger, middle finger, ring finger. But it, in my opinion, will be a practical difference that is, for me, really important. And let me explain that. Most guitar players are holding the pick in some sort of position between the index finger and the thumb. And if you want to use your index finger for your tapping, you have to get that pick out of the way somehow. Most people put it so they hold it with the middle finger like this. But it is some movements that you have to do to get the pick out of the way. But if you're using your middle finger and then later on the ring and the little finger, you don't have to do anything. You just keep on holding the pick like you always do, and then just add in the tapping notes wherever you want to. And for me, and the way I look at it, that is the most efficient way to play and think. That trying to do as little as possible, so you can go between different techniques without changing anything in your hand positions or the way you play. You just add in the tapping notes wherever you want them, basically. So let me give a little example of what I mean. I play a legato picking line and then adding a tap slide and a tap at the end without having to do anything more than go up and grab the notes with my tapping hand. Okay, exercise 1. What we're going to do is to play an E major triad to a B major triad. This tonality. To B. And we're going to play that in the tapping style that we already worked on. And the E major, we already know. We're going to do that on the B string. And that's the hammering down with our tapping hand. On the 12th fret, the B on the 12th fret on the B string. Pulling that off to the E on the 5th fret. Hammer on from there to the G sharp on the 9th fret. We're going to do that 2 times. And then after 2 times, we do the tap note again, but while holding the tap note, we lower our left or fretting hand a half step, so we get the note D sharp on the 4th fret, the D sharp on the 4th fret of the B string. So we go. So when we are playing the B, tap the B on the 12th fret, pull that off to D sharp on the 4th fret, hammer on F sharp on the 7th fret. Those 3 notes are the B major. So let's put that together. 2 times on the E, 2 times on the B. And if you feel you're having problem doing the reach from the 5th fret to the 9th fret, then you should think of not trying to have your thumb sticking up over your neck, because that will make reaching really hard. Having your thumb up here is great when doing bends, because you get something to pull against, get strength from the thumb. But when playing legato or technical kind of playing where you're doing stretch, I really recommend you holding your hand like this, relaxed, and then you place that, like you place the neck in there. And then, if you're having your thumb behind the neck, the reach will be super easy. So you basically get your thumb like that, so you can see it, in the middle of your hand. Not good if you're going to build something, but really good when you're going to play guitar. So try to think of that. Thumb up here if you're going to do bend or attitude kind of playing. But when you're doing smoother things, thumb on the back of your neck. Okay. In the first video, we already talked a little bit about trying to make variations of everything you play. And the reason for that is to build your vocabulary faster. The more ideas you can twist or tweak out of every idea you learn or lick or pattern, the faster your vocabulary will grow. And to hammer that in even more, I'm going to do a couple of variations of the pattern we just played, the E major to B major. The first one we used this pattern, but now we're going to change the pattern in a fretting hand to, and then we put that in the chord sequence, and that will be variation 2. And then we can combine those two different patterns in each chord, and then we get variation 3. And yet another variation would be to do that same thing on the first chord, but then do only variation 2 on the B chord, the second chord. And as we also did in the first video, was getting rid of that triplet feel that we use now and play it straight, and that would be by adding an extra hit in a fretting hand, and that could be something like this. You see, the amounts of variations you can get out of that is almost limitless. Okay, let's move on to exercise 2. This is an exercise that will involve a lot of position shifting in your fretting hand. The basic pattern will be the same on all of it, but the fretting hand will sort of create the melody inside of that pattern that moves around in the key of E major. So the pattern for all of it will be, a little bit of volume is good. Tap note on the 12th fret, pulling that off to the open E, and then hammer on a note with a fretting hand. That pattern. But we're going to change the note every time in a fretting hand. That will be something like this. And one thing to be paying attention to is that the last 3 notes of the line, the pattern change, because I want to resolve it back to the key E major. So pay attention to that so you actually get that into the fingers. And I really recommend that you're taking it bar by bar. But instead of me talking you through every single note, I recommend that you pause the video and really take a look at the tablature. But quickly, bar 1, we start with the basic pattern. Tap, pull off to open string, and then 5th fret. Next one will be 4th fret. Next one will be 7th fret. Next one will be 2nd fret. So we put that together. Next bar will be 5th fret, 4th, 7th, 9th. Let's put that together. Next bar will be 11th fret, 7th fret, 9th fret, 5th fret. Let's put that together. And then the last bar, and then again, pay attention to the twist in the end. That will be 7th fret, 4th fret, 5th fret, and then the twist. Let's put that together. And now, when you have every bar under your fingers, let's try to put it all together and try to play it slow and try to think of the timing so the distance between the notes will be even. Maybe a little faster. And then, of course, you can play that on any string. For the next exercise, we're going to do the same thing as the previous one, but we're going to move the position shifting to our tapping finger instead of the fretting hand. So we have the same basic sequence: tap note, open string, fretted note. But now, since I am Swedish, we got to throw in a little bit of Yngwie flavor in there. So we're going to do this one in A harmonic minor. And the notes we're going to tap is 12th fret, E, D on the 10th fret, C on the 8th fret, and B on the 7th fret. And that will give us that sort of sequence. And at the end, I'm repeating it 2 times, and at the end do I throw in the same kind of a twist that I had in the previous one to be able to resolve it nicely back to the key note A. Okay, let's try playing it. Look at the tablature so I don't have to explain every single note I'm playing, so we save some time. Here is the basic sequence. But then for every tap note I change position. One more time. And as always, you can do multiple variations, and you can do it on any string. One variation would be to take the changed pattern from exercise 1 and 2, variation 1 and 2. So first, tap, open string, hammer down. And then tap, fretted note, open string. And do change the pattern for every tap note. So then you get a little bit faster. For the next exercise we're going to do, we're going to try to play a chord sequence in tapping. And that is a really good way of looking at it, because then it will sound musical, because it follows a chord sequence that actually sounds good to start with. So we're going to play C major. Then we're going to play D minor. And then we're going to play B minor flat 5. And back to C. And let me explain that B minor a little bit. The B minor flat 5 is simply a B minor chord where we lower the 5th F sharp a half step. and you get... That is a chord with a lot of tension in it, and it's sometimes called a half diminished chord. It is a chord that really wants to go back to C. So here is what it will sound like in chords. Here, take a look at the tablature, so we don't have to go through all the notes. But what we're going to play is the C major, D minor, B major flat 5, C major. One thing to pay attention here is the change between the D minor and the B minor flat 5, because the last note you hit in the D minor sequence will be the F on the 10th fret, this note. And the first note you're gonna hit in the B minor flat 5 sequence is the same F on the 10th fret. So you have... Then you are there with your finger, and then you're gonna tap it again. Work on getting that in. So, the whole thing a little faster. A little faster again. I really encourage you to do this with any chord sequence that you know. Take any song, you know, 4 chords, 3 chords, 5 chords, whatever, and try to turn it into tapping lines. For the reason that you're getting more ideas in your solo playing, but also that it forces you to understand what notes there are in the chords you're playing over. Okay, let's make one up just for fun. Let's take 2 chords we already know. E major to B major, the first exercise, to a B minor, to a A major. And then we're going to try to turn that into a tapping sequence. We already know the E major and the B major, so we don't have to do anything with that. Then the B minor, what we do there is lower the third, the major third of the B major, which is a note D sharp. We lower that a half step, and that becomes a D. And then the notes of the A major are the notes A, C sharp, E. Read the tablature here. What we're getting is E major, B major, B minor, A major, E major, B major, B minor, A major. And turned out to be a nice sequence.